Hi, I'm Padraig Harrington and I'm here today to run through the rules of golf. The decisions on the rules can be quite complicated, but there's some basic rules of golf that if you know them will save you a few shots. We're going to play a few holes and we're going to see what situations come up. There's a few little checks you've got to do on the first tee. First of all, you've got to count your clubs. Count them up here. As it turns out, I've actually got 15, so if I continued on it would be a 2-shot penalty on the first hole, whereas all I need to do is take one of these clubs out and remove it. Now I'm left with 14 and I'm good to go. You can have less than 14, but never any more. Secondly, the golf ball. You've got to play a golf ball you can identify as yours during the course of play. The best thing to do is on the tee, you pick out your brand of ball, whichever that is, and you mark it in a certain way that you know, that's individual, but I know if it's a Titleist 3 with a dot to the right of it, it's my ball and I can proceed. We're playing off the white tees today, and you can tee off anywhere within 2 club lengths of those markers in a rectangle. You can't tee ahead of the markers, it must be behind the markers. Okay, let's hit one. Okay, sometimes when you're playing golf, the idea of the game is to play the ball as it lies, but sometimes when you're playing the game, you'll find yourself in a situation where it just isn't possible. The ball is unplayable. Now, you can declare it unplayable and tell your playing partners you're declaring it unplayable, and then you have to decide on what your options are. Well, you could always go back to where you came from, back to the teeing ground as it happened here, and play the shot again. Alternatively, you can take a spot directly between your ball and the hole and come straight back, and you can drop the ball on that line as far back as you like. So in this situation, the tree is still in my way. I'd want to probably go back 20, 30, maybe 40 yards to give my room. But thirdly, you can always take a 2 club length drop when you're declaring it unplayable, and that looks like it's going to be the best option for me in this situation. I'm going to mark it because it's good practice to mark the golf ball, and then I'm going to measure 2 club lengths from there. I'm going to come out sideways. You don't have to come exactly sideways, but you can't go closer to the hole. I'm going to mark it out. That is 1. This is going to be 2 club lengths. Here's my tee. Now, and that leaves me a nice clear shot to the greens. I've got to drop it within those 2 club lengths. I'm going to drop it quite close to the edge, and thankfully it stayed there. It is entitled to roll 2 club lengths from that position in any direction as long as it's not closer to the hole, and then the ball is in play for a 1-shot penalty. You have 2 types of water hazards on a golf course. You have a normal water hazard, which is defined by yellow lines or yellow stakes, or you have a lateral water hazard, which is defined by red lines or red stakes. In this case, I fit it into a water hazard, a normal hazard defined by the yellow markings. First of all, you have 3 options. 1, if you're lucky, you may be able to play the ball from the hazard, but more likely, you'll have to choose between the 2 others. You can either go back to where you hit the original shot for a penalty shot, or you can mark the last point that the ball crossed the hazard, which is here, and keep this spot between you and the hole. Now, there's a reason to know this rule, because if I dropped it here, I'm going to be dropping on a downslope in the rough, but because I know the rules, I can go back as far as I like, and I'm going to be able to go back to a nice spot here, a flat area on the fairway where I can get a better connection with the ball and the right yardage for the next shot. So here's a good case in point where knowing the rules is going to save you shots. So I'm nicely back to the fairway. I've got a nice distance to the hole, and again, horizontal with my arm, stand upright and drop the ball. As you can see here, I've hit it a bit long on this par 4, and my golf ball is lost. So what do I do? How do I proceed when my golf ball is lost? Well, there's only one option. If you can't find your ball within 5 minutes, you have 5 minutes from the time you arrive to look for it. If you can't find it within 5 minutes, the ball is lost and you must go back to where you hit your previous shot. If that's on the tee box, you may tee it up again. If it's anywhere else, you must drop it as close as possible to where you hit the previous shot from. So here we are again. Unfortunately, I've crossed into another water hazard, but this time it's a lateral water hazard defined by the red stakes or red line. Now, I have all the same options as the water hazard. I can play it, I can go back to the tee or back to where I last hit the shot, or I can keep the point across the hazard last between me and the hole. But with a lateral hazard, I've got two more options. I can take a 2 club length drop from the point that I last crossed the hazard over here, or I can go to the opposite side of the hazard and take a 2 club length drop on that side. Clearly here there's a bit of heavy rough there. We're going to take the 2 club length drop here. So I measure it out. Again, 2 club lengths. Okay, tee here. Just about. I can use any club to measure the 2 club lengths. I can use a driver or a wedge or a putter, whatever club you like to use. This has got me up onto the nice even part of the bank. So by knowing that, I've got a little bit of an advantage here. I can drop on the flat part instead of down here on the edge of the hazard where there's a slope. So I don't have to retrieve the ball, but we all like to retrieve it if we can. So we can drop within 2 club lengths under a 1-stroke penalty. So here we are in a bunker, and you do have to be careful in a bunker. There's a couple of things that you can and can't do. You can remove man-made items if they're in the bunker. So this tea peg, or if it was a can or a bottle or a pencil, you could remove. You definitely cannot remove natural items like grass or twigs or leaves. Anything like that can't be removed. Now, when you go to play the shot, as you're getting ready to play the shot, you can't take a practice swing and hit the sand. You can have a practice swing in the air, but you can't have one that actually hits the sand or touches the sand. When you're about to hit it, you can't ever let the sole of the club or any part of the club touch the sand. You've got to kind of keep it in the air a little bit. And as you take the club away, you can't hit the sand at any stage as you're taking the club away. So you've got to avoid touching the sand in those situations. I've been a little bit unlucky here again today, and I've found a bad lie here in the rough. Now, I can remove these old dead leaves here. I can remove this twig, but I can't remove something that's living and attached, like this weed here. So my ball is sitting down. Again, there's certain things you can't do in the rough. I certainly can't get my foot in here and try and create a better lie by stamping down around the grass, around the ball and on the grass. I certainly can't pull anything up. Again, I can't start pulling the grass out to give myself a better lie. And even when I ground the club, I can let the club rest on the ground, but I can't press it down there. Again, I can't create a better lie than I've got. Essentially, you got to take it on the chin and play the ball as it lies. When you're on the green, you've got the issue with the flag. Now, you can have the flag attended when you're on the green or even when you're off the green at any stage, but when you're on the green, it's best that you either have the flag attended or taken out altogether, because if you hit the flag, it would be a 2-shot penalty. So we're going to take it out here. Marking your golf ball. It's best to use a ball marker or a small flat object. You don't have to jam it under the ball or anything like that. You put it behind the ball, then you can pick the ball up once the marker's on the ground and you can clean it. Give it a quick clean. So I can clean that off. Okay, I put it back. Now, you must put it back exactly in the same position, just in front of that coin, and I pick the coin up. Now the ball is back in play. As regards the line, I can only touch the line between my ball and the hole to remove certain loose objects, or fix a pitch mark. So here I have a bit of grass, I can remove that, and again sand, I can brush that sand away like so. Now I've got a pitch mark here in front of me, so again I want to level out my line here, and I'm quite entitled to fix this pitch mark. Again, a certain way of doing this, you got to bring that grass up and then you lift it up all together. If you do a good job fixing the pitch mark, you shouldn't be able to even see it was ever there. In conclusion, we've gone through a few of the basic rules of golf. Hopefully they will help you enjoy your game. Hopefully they'll speed up your game. You never know, they may save you a few shots. If in any doubt, talk to your committee at your golf club or go to the R&A Rules of Golf app.
Hi, I'm Liz from New Zealand Golf with some of the rules of the game. Today we're at Titirangi on the 18th green, looking at some of the rules you may come across when on or off the putting green. I'm now on the 18th green at Titirangi. Or am I? Am I on the green or off the green? If any part of the ball is touching the green, you're deemed to be on. In this case, a part of my ball is, so I'm on the green. If you're unsure, get the opinions of your playing partners or seek advice from a rules referee. Whether you're on or off the green will affect other rules around the putting green. So we've established that my ball is on the green. When a player's ball is on the green, they can repair old hole plugs and pitch marks that are on or off the green. Though if the player's ball's off the green, they can only repair pitch marks that are on the green. So for example, if my ball was over here, there's a pitch mark off the green and a pitch mark on. The only one I can repair is the one on the green. Most club golfers struggle to repair a pitch mark correctly. What they do is they pull away or up from the middle of the pitch mark. The best way is to pull from the outside in, moving around in a circle and then patting down with a putter. Another rule to consider when your ball is just off the putting green are loose impediments. Loose impediments are all natural objects like worms and twigs. Soil and sand are only loose impediments when on the putting green. So in this case, if my ball just off, I can only move away the soil and sand that's on the green. Whereas the sand that's off the green, I can't touch, but I can remove the long grass. Keep in mind these rules about repairing pitch marks and loose impediments when you next play to help you save some shots. I'm Liz, and these are the rules of the game.
The first things I wanted to do is just explain to all of you, most of you probably know, but what designates the teeing ground? The teeing ground actually is a lot larger than just where those tee markers are. All right. First thing to keep in mind on the teeing ground is that those markers basically designate the front line of the teeing ground. Okay, so when you tee your ball up on a hole, who has a tee? You have a tee, Greg? All right. You cannot tee off in front of the markers. So if you draw a straight line from one marker to the next, you have to tee off on that line or behind that line. All right, if you go up here and you tee your ball up right here, and these are the markers, you're considered outside the teeing area. All right, so keep that in mind. I know a lot of times we just kind of run up and we stick the tee in the ground and we go to hit it, but it's important to understand, especially as you play in some of the events that you'll go play in, whether it be here or other clubs, that you need to make sure that you're behind that line, okay? Now, you have the option of teeing off anywhere in between the markers, and then the length that you have is you have 2 club lengths behind that line, okay? So if I take this club and I go back 2 club lengths to here, I basically have, this is my teeing area. roughly. So this square right here, I can tee up anywhere inside this square. All right, and that's critical at times because depending on the hole, it may be a par 3 with water on the left or on the right. You might want to tee off on the right side of the tee box to avoid a hazard on the left, to give yourself more room. So just for instance, say this was a par 3 and the green was right out there in the beginning of the fairway, all right? You're going to put yourself at a disadvantage if you tee off on the left side of the tee box, because now you're bringing the water much more into play. But you can go over here to the right side of the tee box and create a much better angle for yourself to the green, okay? So keep that in mind, the teeing area, where you tee off on holes, to give yourself as much of an advantage as possible for the shot that you're trying to play. It's important to know that when you're taking relief, in all situations, you cannot drop the ball nearer the hole than where you started. Okay, so whether it's free relief on an unplayable situation or an obstruction, or whether you've hit it into a hazard, you can never drop the ball nearer the hole than where you started. There's two types of hazards. There's a regular water hazard and a lateral water hazard. I believe all our hazards here at the ocean course are marked as lateral, okay? Lateral water hazards give you more options than a regular water hazard, okay? The difference in the two, typically, this hazard here is marked as a lateral water hazard because typically it will run down the length of a hole. If you have a hole where the water comes in front and you have to hit it over the water hazard, and it's really not running parallel to your line of play, those typically will be marked as a regular water hazard, okay? And those are designated by yellow stakes or yellow lines, okay? A regular water hazard, yellow stakes, yellow lines. A lateral water hazard is red stakes and red lines. If I tee my ball up from the teeing ground and I hit it in this lateral hazard, right by that stake is where it crosses that hazard line.
You can hit again. Re-tee and hit again.
Okay, so one of my options
You can hit from there.
is I can re-tee it, right?
Yeah. With penalty.
With a one-stroke penalty. Each one of these situations is a one-stroke penalty. The other option is I can go 2 club lengths from where it last crossed the margin of the hazard. And that's important to know. Not where it first crossed the margin of the hazard, it's where it last crossed the margin of the hazard. I can go 2 club lengths any direction as long as it's not near the hole. So my other option is you can keep that point, the point that it last crossed the margin of the hazard, between you and the hole, and you can go back as far as you want. Okay? So just say this was the fairway here, this nice flat area, and I've hit it in the water, and I really don't want to hit it, my next shot off that downslope like this, and it's a tough lie, it's in the rough. I can keep that point between me and the hole, and I can go back as far as I want to go back. All right? So if this is the fairway, I can keep that point between me and the hole. I can come up here to this flat spot on the fairway, and I can drop my ball.
Even if you're in the rough?
Even if you're in the rough, absolutely. There's 2 more options in a lateral water hazard. One's going to really confuse you, and one is pretty simple.
There are 5 total.
I hit my ball and it stops right there. Is that in the hazard or out of the hazard?
It's in the hazard.
It's in the hazard, right? Yeah. It's on the other side of the hazard line. Yeah. Can I play that ball?
Yes.
So I can hit it, right? Yeah. So that's my 4th option.
No penalty.
No penalty.
So I have to make sure in making my stroke that I don't ground my club.
And a ball is actually deemed to be in the hazard when any part of the ball
Touching that hazard.
touching the hazard line. You almost have to think of it like, I'm sure all of you watch football. When somebody reaches out a football over the goal line and they say it broke the plane, same thing applies with this.
So right here, if my ball comes to rest right here and it's touching that hazard line, that ball's considered in the hazard. Now I can play it from there, but I can't ground my club. Right? So if I wanted to play that, I can come here and I can play this shot, but I can't do that. I got to keep my club above the ground and hit it from there. The fifth option you have is that you can go to the other side of the hazard, equal distance from the hole, and drop it within 2 club lengths. Not a lot of instances here that you're going to run into that other than maybe hole number 6. But there are other golf courses you'll play that may have a creek running down the side of the hole. All right? And you hit it in, and maybe there's real bad rough on the side of the creek that your ball entered, but on the other side of the creek, the grass is real good, or a lot better lie, or a lot flatter lie. Then you could go on the other side of the creek, equal distance, 2 club lengths from the hazard line, and drop it. So really the 4 main options, again, that you will exercise in a lateral hazard is replay your ball from your previous spot with a 1-stroke penalty, 2 club lengths from where it last crossed the margin of the hazard, a 1-stroke penalty, keeping that point where it last crossed the hazard between you and the hole, and going back as far as you'd like with a 1-stroke penalty, playing it out of the hazard if it's playable, no penalty. Okay, and then the 5th is going equal distance on the opposite side of the hazard with a 1-stroke penalty. All right, the rule book states that you have to extend your arm,
Shoulder height.
shoulder height,
Sorry. Shoulder height.
and then drop the ball and not manipulate the ball. So you can't do. So anyway, so if I'm going to drop this ball, and this is the area I can drop in by 2 club lengths, am I going to stand right over this divot and drop it in that divot?
Not if you're smart.
Probably not. All right. So again, pay attention to where you're dropping the ball. Remember, you have 2 club lengths. If it entered here, I've got 2 club lengths. No near the hole from where it entered. So it can go. I can go sideways as long as I'm not near the hole. I can go back this way 2 club lengths. I can go this way 2 club lengths. So I've got a pretty good area here to drop in. All right. You want to pick the area that allows you the best possible lie to play your next shot.
Yesterday in Seagulls this happened, and they said we had to mark it with a T. After we did the 2 club lengths, they said we had to put the T down, and then we had to put the ball between the T and the red line.
Not necessarily. Take your 2 club lengths. Okay, there's my 2 club lengths. So I have to be within this area.
That's what they said.
But that doesn't mean I have to be on a straight line in that area.
No, just between.
I can go from here all the way to here, as long as it's 2 club lengths from where it entered.
Okay.
Always pick your club up. If you're using a club to measure that 2 club lengths, always pick it up, because if your club's sitting here and you drop it and it hits that club, that's a 2-shot penalty. If I this is my 2 club lengths and I drop the ball and this sloped that way and the ball ends up out here, I have to re-drop it. Where you see it the most is on a bank in a hazard, and they've taken their 2 club lengths and just say, for instance, my 2 club lengths is right in here, and I drop the ball and it keeps rolling down back into the hazard. I drop it twice and it keeps going into the hazard. All right. The 3rd time, drop it twice and then you place it.
Correct. And you got to make sure it's on the 2nd drop. If he drops it here, it lands here and kicks in, you got to place it on that spot where it last
After your 2nd drop, if it goes into the hazard, you have to, your 3rd, you place it on that spot wherever it landed.
Once you place it, let go of it, the ball's in play.
Yes.
Verify the club. Is it the club you're going to use, or can you actually pull your driver out?
Any club you want.
Any
Okay.
club.
So it could be
long
advantage to
putters
use your driver.
they use.
Yeah. Pick the club that's going to give you
used.
the advantage, though.
There are some general rules that you need to be aware of every time you play, and some that need to be considered before you even start your game. It is strongly recommended that you put your own identification mark on your ball. If you fail to do so, you run the risk of not being able to distinguish your ball from another ball, which means your ball is lost. You cannot start the round with more than 14 clubs. Ian Woosnam was tied for the lead going into the final round of the 2001 Open at Royal Lytham and appeared to have birdied the par 3 first hole until his caddy discovered on the second tee that there were 15 clubs in the bag. As a result, Woosnam had to add a 2-stroke penalty to his score at the first.
God, I give you a job to do and you can't do it. You're on the line.
If you start the round with 14 clubs, it is not possible to add clubs, even if a club is lost. During Tiger Woods' singles match at the 2006 Ryder Cup, his caddy dropped his 9-iron into the water next to the 7th green. Woods was not permitted to replace the club, but when the 9-iron was returned to him on the 15th hole, courtesy of a helpful diver, he was allowed to use it again. Here we see Tiger having more problems with his clubs, this time breaking a club while making a stroke at the Masters. A club broken in this manner can be repaired and reused during the round, or the player can replace the damaged club. However, if a club is damaged in anger, making it non-conforming or altering its playing characteristics, it cannot be used or replaced during the round. For Paul Azinger, this meant putting with a variety of clubs on the remaining holes. During a round, you cannot ask for advice from anyone except your caddy or your partner, who is a player on your side. And you must not give advice to any player other than your partner. While your caddy or partner can give advice on the line of putt and even assist with alignment, they cannot remain on or close to an extension of the line behind the ball while the stroke is made. A rules official intervenes before Marcus Breer putts because he believes that the caddy is standing too close to the line of the putt behind the ball. By intervening, the official saved Breer a 2-stroke penalty. A player is responsible for any breach of the rules committed by his caddy. In the quarterfinals of the 2006 US Amateur Championship, Richie Ramsey's young caddy touched his line of putt without authority. The rules provide that the player incurs the applicable penalty for a breach of the rules by his caddy, and as a result, Ramsey lost the hole.
The teeing ground where you start the hole. It is a rectangular area, 2 club lengths in depth, the front and sides of which are defined by the outside limits of 2 tee markers. You can play your ball from anywhere within the teeing ground. While the ball must be within the teeing ground, a player may stand outside the tee markers to play the ball. And before playing a stroke from the teeing ground, your ball is not in play, so if it falls off the tee, or if you knock it off the tee in the act of addressing it, it may be re-teed without penalty.
If you think a ball is yours but cannot see your identification mark, then it is permissible to lift it to identify it. However, you must first advise your opponent, marker or fellow competitor of your intention, and you must mark the position of the ball before lifting it. If the ball is your ball, you must replace it.
It's a basic principle that you must play the ball as it lies. You must not improve the lie, the area of intended stance or swing, or your line of play, by moving, bending, or breaking anything that is fixed.
Was it growing?
In taking a practice swing, Brian Davis broke a reed that would have interfered with his swing for his stroke, and as a result, he incurred a penalty of 2 strokes.
Can I move it to get in there, or do I have to back into it to get in there? See what I mean? I can move it. Can I help?
A player is permitted to move branches in the process of fairly taking a stance, but he must try to use the least intrusive method of getting to the ball to make the stroke.
No, it's all right. I got
And here Phil Mickelson carefully approaches the ball so that he does not improve his situation and there is no breach of the rules.
Let me move the bag and everything, Phil. You guys, can you back up behind, please?
In contrast, Scott Hoke has initially managed to get to the ball in the least intrusive way. But when he retakes his stance by entering from the side and pushing the branch backwards, he improved his area of intended swing and was penalised 2 strokes. And when Sergio Garcia moved ahead of his ball and took a practice swing on his line of play, officials were concerned he may have improved his line. However, on close examination, it was decided the action he'd taken did not cause any improvement and no penalty was applied. You are entitled to place your feet firmly when taking a stance, and in a bunker, this allows for a certain amount of digging in with the feet, as demonstrated by Tiger Woods. But Calvin Pete's attempt to gain a level footing exceeds what is permitted, and he was penalised 2 strokes for building a stance. Before making a stroke at your ball lying in a bunker or a water hazard, you cannot touch the ground in either type of hazard or touch water in the water hazard with a club. So the club must not be grounded at address and must not touch the hazard on the backswing. Unfortunately, Nick Faldo's brilliant recovery was spoiled by the fact that his club touched the water on the way back and he was penalised 2 strokes. It's also not permissible to move loose impediments prior to making a stroke in a bunker or a water hazard. Michelle Wee fell foul of this rule when she clipped a piece of moss with her backswing, resulting in a 2-stroke penalty. You cannot test a bunker before playing from it, and smoothing the bunker is deemed to be testing. However, if, like Stephen Ames, you fail to get the ball out of the bunker, it's okay to smooth footprints before you play your next stroke, provided you do not improve your situation at the ball's new position. If your ball lies on a bridge over a hazard, it's permissible to ground your club on the bridge. Lee Westwood demonstrates his understanding of this rule in the final of the World Match Play at Wentworth and plays a great recovery shot from the bridge. All under the watchful eye of rules official John Paramore.
PGATour.com presents the top 10 lucky bounces on the PGA Tour.
Now, JD's going to try something.
Oh, it hit a root.
Ooh, where'd it go?
Jumped right up, straight through the tree and onto the green. Oh, yes, baby.
I'd have never thought of that. Sometimes a little luck doesn't hurt your day.
Roland Thatcher on the tee here at the just 124-yard par 3 today. Well, he's yelling for it to get down. Whoa! Oh, won't see many of those that end up on the walkway. At least he gets to play a second shot.
Watch this hook. This hook's going to go about 80 feet left to right if he plays it right.
Oh, he's on the rocks, takes a high hop, and lands in front. He's all right. You never know what kind of hop you're going to get off the rocks in front of Arnie's 18th.
Yeah, this would be a serious rocky round. Let's see if he makes it. Looks pretty good, but
only Bubba.
Holy mackerel! Right.
3.
How are you doing? You're looking at 5 or 6, and you end up with a 3.
VJ setting up for a fade.
That's a high 3-iron from 229 that's heading left and staying left.
That was a big 3-iron. That even carried the bunker. Look at this. The advantage of shaping your shots.
I'm going with the pitching wedge here at the 17. This is all the way there. That is on the bank, over the green, behind some of the spectators. That was unbelievable when it was in the air.
This would be a fantastic shot just to keep it on the green from the downhill lie out of this Bermuda grass.
Nearly hit the bulkhead again. Interesting strategy employed there by Crane. It's come up just short of that pot bunker. Yep, you hit the bulkhead twice, my man. He did.
And throwing a few high fives out there.
Sounded a bit thin, and it's out to the right. Starting to move in, but it's not moving it enough.
Jump out? Did his ball jump out? We'll just take another look at it right here, folks. That is his ball. My goodness gracious.
I've never seen that. I mean, I've never seen a ball splash out of the lake like that.
I mean, he's going to walk away with a 4, and he will live maybe for another hole. He was dead.
Leif Olson, here's his shot.
Oh, yeah, that's the way to do it. Oh, hold on. Oh.
And that's hard to do with an assist.
That's billions.
Did he call that?
I haven't seen that in tournament play before. I've seen it happen, but not on television in an open.
Let's go over and see what I won. He's got himself a new BMW and a nice hole-in-one on the PGA Tour.
Andrew McGee is walking down the 17th. It's the par 4 drivable. McGee has holed his tee shot. He holed it by hitting his drive onto the green. Tom Barham was squatting down over his putt. He was lining up his putt. Andrew's ball hit Barham's putter. See the ball of Andrew McGee. We won't quite catch Tom Barham, who's squatting down, has his putter on the ground. The ball hits the putter. Steve Pate watches. The ball goes in the hole. Barham is an outside agency. The ball goes in the hole. It's a hole-in-one. One of the most outrageous hole-in-ones you've ever seen.
Doesn't get any weirder than that.
That is weird.
Our second luckiest bounce of all time came at the inaugural Memorial Tournament. In a playoff with Hale Irwin, Roger Maltby sent his approach on the third hole of sudden death left, but it hit off a half-inch wide metal stake and ricocheted back onto the green. The very next hole, Maltby would sink a 20-foot birdie putt for his third tour title.
Hale Irwin needs birdie to tie Jim Nelson.
This will go a little left to right, Pat. Without a doubt.
No!
He hooked it. He went over the top of that thing. Oh, look at this.
It hit a rock and hopped back into the fairway. It was headed for the ocean. Unbelievable.
Sounded good. Watch this action.
Right at it. Hit the flagstick.
I think he was unlucky. I really think he was unlucky.
I would have been closer if it didn't hit the pin.
It might have gone in.
Could have. Waste any time.
Playoffs.
And it didn't move at all, Tommy. It went in the right side.
For the win.
The Crosby is history.